Preamble: the silent entry philosophy. This manual is not a guide for criminals, nor is it a simple collection of lockpicking tricks. It is a comprehensive framework for the clandestine operative, the individual who must penetrate high-security environments, remain undetected, and leave without a trace. In the world of clandestine physical infiltration, success is not measured by the speed of a breach, but by the invisibility of the operator. Physical security is a triad of people, process, and technology. Most security systems focus heavily on technology, creating a hard shell that leads to a false sense of invulnerability. This manual teaches you to ignore the shell and exploit the soft, human and procedural elements that underpin every secure facility. The following sections detail phase I, the mental and physical preparation required before you even approach the target perimeter. Without a solid foundation in the grey man theory and a bulletproof legend, the most advanced technical tools in your kit are liabilities, not assets. Phase I, Foundations and the Legend. 1.1 The Operator's Mindset, the Path of Least Resistance and the Grey Man Theory. The operator does not view a building as a fortress. They view it as a series of interconnected systems designed by fallible humans. 1.1 The Principle of Efficiency. In fiction, spies scale glass skyscrapers with suction cups. In reality, the professional looks for the door propped open by a smoker or the delivery entrance where a guard is too busy eating lunch to check a badge. Energy conservation. Every minute spent picking a lock is a minute you are vulnerable to discovery. If a window is unlatched on the second floor and reachable via a dumpster, that is the superior entry point. The lazy guard phenomenon. Security is often performative. Humans are biologically programmed to seek comfort and avoid conflict. The operator identifies where security, friction, has been removed for the sake of convenience and exploits that gap. Systems thinking. Understand that a door is not just wood and metal. It is a component of a building's fire safety system, its HVAC pressure balance, and its employee convenience protocol. Each of these systems provides a different reason for that door to be unlocked. 1.1.2 The Grey Man Theory, Mastering Invisibility. The grey man is someone who is seen but not remembered. This is not about wearing a camouflage suit, it's about fitting the frequency of the environment. Visual neutrality, the baseline. Oh, the palette, stick to earth and concrete, navy, charcoal, tan and olive. Avoid high-contrast colors or logos that draw the eye. Oh, the silhouette, avoid tactical gear, 5.11 pants, mole bags, paracord bracelets. These are loud to train security. In a corporate environment, this means a mid-range navy blazer or a generic business casual outfit. In an industrial zone, it means scuffed work boots and a generic tool belt. Oh, symmetry. Humans notice asymmetry. Ensure your bag is carried naturally and your clothes fit the local standard. Behavioral mirroring, the tempo. Oh, pedestrian pace. Every city has a walking speed. If you move faster or slower than the crowd, you are a glitch in the visual field. Oh, the phone shield. Using a smartphone is the ultimate modern camouflage. A person looking at a phone is perceived as occupied and harmless. However, never actually be distracted. Use the screen as a mirror to check your six. Micro-expressions and eye contact. Oh, the 1 second rule. If you make eye contact with a guard, hold it for exactly 1 second, give a tight, professional nod and look away. Looking away too fast signals guilt, holding it too long signals a challenge. 1.2 Developing the legend, crafting backstories for the 30-second check. A legend is a false identity backed by just enough reality to survive a casual challenge. For a physical infiltrator, the legend only needs to last long enough to get past the gatekeeper. 1.2.1 Legend architecture, the boring foundation. If a guard asks, "Who are you here to see?" and you hesitate, you're burned, a legend must be. 1. Mundane. The more boring your job sounds, the less likely someone is to ask follow-up questions. 2. Transitory. You should be someone who is just passing through or here for a quick fix. 3. Low status but necessary. People tend to look past janitors, fire inspectors and delivery drivers. They are part of the furniture. 1.2.2 Case study. The subcontractor legend. The persona, Dave, a fire suppression system technician. The research, Dave knows the name of the local fire inspection company, found via the building's lobby plaques, and the name of the building's facility manager, found via LinkedIn. The interaction: Dave walks to the desk, doesn't wait to be greeted, and says, "Hey, I'm here for the monthly riser pressure check. Is Greg still the FM here? He mentioned the pump in the basement was acting up." The result: by using a name and a technical specific, Dave has verified himself through social proof before the guard even asks for ID. 123 The digital shadow, backing the legend. A modern legend needs a digital footprint. The burner LinkedIn, a profile for your alias with a realistic work history, 50+ connections easily gained in lion groups, and a professional-looking headshot. The fake paper trail, a smartphone containing work orders, email chains from the boss, and inventory lists. If a guard asks to see proof, showing a professional-looking PDF on a cracked phone screen is often more convincing than a physical ID. 1.3 Plausible Deniability, the harmless mistake protocol. In clandestine work, your exit strategy for a confrontation is as important as your entry strategy. You must transition instantly into a clueless civilian or distracted employee. 131 The wrong turn maneuver. If caught in a secure hallway, immediate action: stop, look at your phone with a frustrated expression, and sigh audibly. The interaction: "Oh man, excuse me, is the lobby back that way? I think I took the wrong elevator bank. I'm looking for the summit conference room for the 2:00 meeting." Tactical benefit: you have established yourself as a legitimate visitor who is simply lost. Most people will instinctively help you, even escorting you back to the safe area. 132 The confidence bridge. If a guard follows you, the move: don't run, turn around and walk toward them. The interaction: "Hey, do you have a key for the restroom on this floor? My badge isn't working for some reason." Tactical benefit: by initiating the contact and asking for help, you eliminate the predatory vibe. A spy doesn't ask a guard for help, a frustrated employee does. 133 The language barrier advanced. In international environments, pretending to have a limited grasp of the local language can buy you time. People get frustrated trying to explain rules to someone who doesn't understand, often leading them to just wave you away or point you toward an exit. 1.4 Gear hardening, sanitization and non-attributable equipment. Your gear must not speak if you are searched. Your bag should be a collection of professional probability. 141 Physical sanitization, the visual scrub. Label stripping: use a seam ripper to remove tactical branding from bags. Remove "made in your country" tags if operating abroad. The junk layer: top your bag with legitimate, boring items: a half-eaten sandwich, a generic laptop charger, a company-branded notepad, and a hoodie. Your tools should be hidden in false bottoms or inside the electronics themselves. Weathering: new gear looks suspicious. Scuff your boots, fade your vest, and put a few scratches on your laptop. A technician wouldn't have brand new tools. 142 Hardware concealment, the Trojan horse method. The router hack: take a specialized network sniffing tool and mount the PCB inside the plastic shell of a standard name-brand Wi-Fi router. If found, it looks like a piece of office equipment. The bad USB camouflage: never carry a USB rubber ducky in its original case. Put the board inside a cheap promotional thumb drive from a local bank or a tech conference. Lockpick storage: instead of a leather pouch, hide individual picks inside a hollowed-out Sharpie marker or behind the battery of a laptop. 143 Digital hardening, the zero trace protocol. The amnesic operating system: use Tails or a custom Debian live environment on an encrypted USB. When the USB is pulled, the laptop's internal hard drive contains nothing but a clean Windows 11 install with a browser history of news sites and weather reports. IMEI/IMSI masking: use Traveler SIMs bought with cash in a different city. Never turn on the phone within 2 miles of your safe house or your home. Wiping EXIF data: if you take a recon photo, the metadata, GPS time, camera model can hang you. Use tools to strip this data instantly, or better yet, use a privacy-focused camera app that never records it. 1.5 Operational area familiarization, the dry run. Before the operation, you must absorb the target environment until you can walk it blindfolded. 151 Acoustic mapping. Every building has a sound. The hum, server rooms have a high-pitched whine. The echo, stairwells have a specific resonance. The silence, executive floors are often carpeted heavily and eerily quiet. Understanding these sounds allows you to navigate by ear, knowing when you are approaching a high-traffic area versus a secure utility zone. 152 Lighting Analysis. Motion sensors map where the lights click on. In many office buildings, the lights are off at night until someone enters a hallway. If you see a light click on through a window from the street, you know a guard is doing a round. Light leaks, small gaps under doors or through keyholes, can tell you if a room is occupied or if a server rack's LEDs are blinking inside. 153 Tactical Staging. If the mission requires heavy tools, never carry them in. The pre-drop. Visit the building during public hours. Hide your tools in a dead space, behind a loose baseboard in the lobby bathroom or inside a false ceiling in the parking garage. When you return for the hard entry at night, you move through the perimeter clean. Phase I Summary Checklist. Legend is simple, boring and verifiable via social media. All tactical branding removed from clothing and bags. Digital devices are randomized Mac IMEI and running from RAM. Plausible deniability scripts rehearsed for 3 different scenarios. Target baseline understood pace, dress, acoustics. All recon photos stripped of metadata. Practical exercise, the target walk. Select a high-end hotel you have never visited. Enter through the front door, find the service elevator, travel to the kitchen and exit through the loading dock, all without being challenged. If stopped, use your lost guest pretext. This builds the muscle memory of belonging in spaces where you are technically a stranger. Phase II, Intelligence and Signal Reconnaissance. Preamble, the data-driven infiltration. In the modern era, physical infiltration is 70% information gathering and 30% execution. Phase II focuses on clandestine reconnaissance, the art of gathering actionable intelligence without alerting the target to your interest. An operative who attempts a breach without a comprehensive understanding of the target's digital and physical pulse is merely guessing. In this phase, we move from the foundational mindset into active, yet passive, data collection. 2.1 OSINT and digital mapping, structural vulnerability scraping. Open source intelligence, OSINT, allows an operative to build a 3D mental model of the target facility before ever setting foot on the street. 2.11 Municipal and public records. Buildings leave a massive paper trail during construction and renovation. Building permits, search municipal planning portals for mechanical, electrical, or fire permits. Example, a permit for server room HVAC retrofit will list the exact floor and suite number where the mission-critical hardware is located. Blueprints and floor plans. While modern blueprints are rarely public, older versions or emergency evacuation plans are often uploaded by fire marshals or safety compliance firms. Property tax records. These reveal the ownership structure. If the building is leased, the security is often handled by a third-party property management firm, which is a soft target compared to internal corporate security. 2.12 The People Map, LinkedIn and social media. Security hierarchy. Identify the head of global security or Chief Information Security Officer, CISO. Knowing the boss's name is a powerful psychological tool during a challenge. The badge selfie. Search Instagram or LinkedIn for new hires at the target company. Employees frequently post photos of their first-day badge. Tradecraft. Zoom in to identify the brand of the badge hid, Indala Mifia and the visual security features, holograms, color coding for specific floors. Job postings. Look at the requirements for security guard or IT technician at the target firm. Example, if a job posting requires experience with Lenel on-guard systems, you now know exactly what software manages the electronic locks in the building. 2.2 SIGINT Signals Intelligence, Digital Perimeter Mapping. Every modern building screams data in the form of radio frequencies. Signals Intelligence, SIGINT, allows the operative to see the network topology from the parking lot. 2.21 Passive Wi-Fi Sniffing. Using a Wi-Fi Pineapple or Kismet on a laptop with a high-gain antenna, the operative maps the internal network. SSID mapping, identify corporate, guest, and hidden networks. Example, a hidden network named SECCAMVLAN tells you exactly where the security cameras are transmitting. Signal triangulation, by walking the perimeter and measuring signal strength, RSSI, you can locate the MDF, main distribution frame or server closet. The point where the signal is strongest is your physical destination. 222 The Wiegand leak. Many older RFID badge readers emit a noise when they read a card. Advanced SIGINT tools can sometimes sniff the data being sent from the reader to the door controller if the wiring isn't shielded. Recon, use a Bluetooth scanner to find Bluetooth low energy, locks or beacons. Many employees have smart badges or watches that can be tracked to determine when the office is occupied. 2.3 Pattern of Life POL, mapping the pulse. Every building has a rhythm, a predictable cycle of activity that an operative can exploit. 231 The guard rotation. Shift changes. Guards are most vulnerable during a shift change, usually 700, 1500 and 2300. They are distracted, handing over keys and eager to go home. The round timing. Use a stopwatch to time how long it takes a guard to complete a patrol. If the guard passes the back door every 42 minutes, you have a 40-minute window of safety. 232 The service entrance pulse. Cleaning crews, these are the ghost teams. They usually arrive between 18:00 and 20:00. They often prop doors open for trash removal. Food delivery, peak times 12:00, 13:30 create chaos in the lobby. A delivery driver persona is almost never challenged during the lunch rush. 233 Blind spot mapping. By observing the tilt and sweep of CCTV cameras, the operative identifies dead zones. Tradecraft, note the refresh rate. Some digital cameras have a 1-2 second lag, others are dummy cameras. A camera with dust or cobwebs on the lens is likely non-functional. 2.4 Surveillance detection runs SDRs. Before approaching a target, the operative must ensure they are not being watched by local security or counterintelligence. An SDR is a pre-planned route designed to flush out a tail. 241 The paranoia route. An SDR should include 1. Stops in low-density areas. If you are in a quiet park and the same person appears, they are a tail. 2. Channeling points. Walk through a narrow corridor or a building with one entrance-exit. 3. The U-turn. Go into a shop, buy something, and walk out the same way you came. If someone follows you in and then immediately leaves when you do, you are burned. 242 The mirror technique. Use shop windows or the screen of a deactivated phone to look behind you without turning your head. If you suspect a tail, never go to your safe house. Instead, go to a pre-planned burn site, a crowded mall or transit hub, and disappear. 2.5 Trash pulls and technical scavenging, dumpster diving. The blue bins of a corporation are often more valuable than their digital firewalls. 251 Recovering tactical jargon. Internal memos contain the language of the target. Example, if you find a discarded memo signed by Department 402, you stop calling the server room, and start calling it 402. This nuance makes your pretext, phase III, much more believable. 252 The shed check. Look for discarded hardware. Hard drives, USBs, even broken ones can often be recovered. Keyboard/mice. A discarded keyboard might still have a post-it note with a password stuck to the underside. Corporate letterhead. Recovering a single piece of real letterhead allows you to forge a letter of authorization, the get-out-of-jail-free card that looks 100% authentic. 253 The jargon list. While scavenging, look for acronyms, project names, internal department codes. Names, the CEO's assistant, the night shift janitor's name. Standard operating procedures, SOPs, discarded manuals on how to use the new Xerox or fire drill procedures. Phase II summary checklist. Municipal records checked for HVAC and electrical blueprints. Internal Wi-Fi SSIDs mapped and signal strength triangulated. Guard rotation and cleaning crew schedules documented. A SDR completed successfully before moving to the target area. Internal jargon and names recovered from OSINT or trash pulls. A CCTV blind spots mapped and timed. Practical exercise, the MAL stakeout. Spend 4 hours at a local MAL. Identify the security guards' shift change, their patrol route, and their relaxation spots. Try to follow a guard for 15 minutes without them noticing you. This builds the patience and observational focus required for real-world recon. Phase III, the social vector, pretexting and entry. Preamble, the human vulnerability. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people into performing actions or divulging confidential information. In the context of physical infiltration, it is the method by which an operative bypasses technical controls by exploiting the human operating system. While a lock is consistent and a firewall is logical, humans are governed by emotion, social pressure, and biological shortcuts. Phase III details the strategies for weaponizing social norms to gain entry. 3.1 High probability personas, mastering the uniformed professional. The uniformed professional leverages the psychological principle of authority. People are conditioned from childhood to follow the instructions of those in uniform. In a corporate environment, a uniform acts as a visual pass that bypasses the analytical mind of a security guard or receptionist. 3.1 The fire inspector/safety auditor. This is the gold standard of personas because it grants access to almost every room in a building, including secure server rooms and executive suites. The costume, a high-visibility vest slightly weathered, a generic hard hat, a heavy-duty clipboard, and a standardized fire inspection form. The gear, a digital laser distance measurer or a smoke detector tester, an aerosol spray on a pole. The pretext, I'm here for the biannual riser and sprinkler head clearance audit. We've had reports of obstructed sensors on the 4th floor. Tradecraft example, walk directly to a sprinkler head, measure the distance to the nearest shelf with your laser and SI. This performance establishes you as a diligent worker who is annoyed by compliance issues, a very human and relatable trait. 3.1.2 The elevator/HVAC technician. Maintenance personnel are part of the furniture. They are expected to be in mechanical rooms, stairwells and roof hatches, areas that are usually off-limits to everyone else. The costume, navy blue work shirt with a generic patch, e.g., Apex Building Solutions, scuffed work boots and a tool belt containing actual heavy tools. The gear, a large, rolling tool chest. This is critical because it provides a mobile dead drop to smuggle in larger infiltration tools or smuggle out hardware. The pretext, dispatch sent me over for the elevator governor maintenance on Bank B. The property manager said the freight lift was acting jerky. Tradecraft example, use prop displacement. Carry a large, heavy-looking filter or a length of copper pipe. People will instinctively open doors for someone who has their hands full of work. 3.1.3 The courier/high-value delivery. This persona exploits the urgency and service reflexes of the lobby staff. The costume, a polo shirt matching a local courier service or a generic delivery vest. The gear, a large awkward box with fragile or refrigerated stickers. The pretext, I have a time-sensitive delivery for name of C-suite executive found in Phase II. The recipient needs to sign for this personally, but their assistant isn't answering the desk. Tradecraft example, act stressed. Look at your watch repeatedly. Mention that you have 10 more drops before the window closes. This creates a social pressure on the guard to help you out by letting you up to the executive floor. 3.2 Psychological levers, exploiting the human OS. Social engineering is not about lying. It is about providing a context where the target feels that helping you is the correct and easiest path. 3.2.1 The politeness reflex and reciprocity. Humans have an innate desire to be helpful, especially in customer service roles like reception or security. The lever, if you do something small for someone, they feel an unconscious debt to return the favor. Example, hold the door for a guard who is carrying a coffee. When you reach the badge-protected turnstile, that guard is 80% more likely to swipe you through if you act like you forgot your badge, simply because you established a helpful rapport 3 seconds earlier. 3.2.2 The principle of social proof. If other people seem to accept you, new observers will accept you as well. The lever, walking in a group. Example, stand near the entrance during the morning rush. Wait for a group of 4-5 employees who are laughing and talking. Walk in the center of the pack, nodding along as if you are part of the conversation. A guard looking at the group sees a cohesive unit of employees and is less likely to pick out the one individual without a visible badge. 323 The authority-urgency combo. People stop thinking critically when they are under pressure from a superior. The lever, posing as someone who is on a mission from the boss. Example, hi, I'm with CEO Name's personal IT support. He's at the airport and can't access the Q3 projections. I need into his office now to reset his docking station, or I'm the one who gets fired. Tradecraft, use technical gibberish. Explain the problem in terms so complex that the guard feels dumb for asking follow-up questions. They will let you in just to end the uncomfortable interaction. 3.3 Advanced tailgating, the art of the following. Tailgating is the most common physical breach. However, professional tailgating is a nuanced skill that involves timing, positioning, and psychological shielding. 331 The heavy box maneuver. This is the most reliable way to bypass a badged door. The setup, carry a box that is large enough to obscure your view and heavy enough to make you look like you are struggling. The execution, approach the door just as someone is about to enter or exit. The psychology, the other person sees a fellow human in distress. Their politeness reflex overrides their security training. They will hold the door open for you. The closing, as you pass, give a breathless, "Thank you so much, I appreciate it." This verbal handshake closes the loop and prevents them from asking, "Who are you?" 332 The smoker's huddle. Every building has a weak door, the one leading to the designated smoking area. The setup, find the smoking area mapped in phase II. Blend in. If you don't smoke, hold an unlit cigarette or a vape. The execution, engage in low-value socializing. Complain about the weather or the new coffee machine in the break room, using jargon found in phase II. The entry, when the group finishes, they will head back inside. Doors in smoking areas are often propped or have a delay. Walk in behind them as part of the group. Since you shared a smoke, you are now a trusted insider. 333 The phone shield tailgate. The setup, approach a secure door while on a seemingly intense, emotional phone call. The execution, use a hands-free headset. Wave a thank you hand to the person opening the door while you continue to argue or discuss something important into your mic. The psychology, people are hesitant to interrupt someone who is in the middle of a high-stakes conversation. It creates a privacy bubble that shields you from questioning. 3.4 Confrontation management, verbal judo. If you are challenged, "Sir, can I see your badge?" you have 3 seconds to control the frame of the interaction. 341 The confusion frustration pivot. Never act guilty. Act like the guard is the one who is being difficult. Challenge, "Sir, you need a badge to be back here." Pivot, sigh deeply, look at your watch. "Are you kidding? The girl at the front desk said the badges weren't syncing today and just told me to head up to 4. I've been waiting for this service call for 3 weeks. Is there someone else I can talk to? I don't have time to go back down to the lobby." The result, you have moved the problem from "you are an intruder" to "the front desk messed up." You are now 2 people solving a bureaucratic error together. 342 The redirect. Answer a question with a question that implies your own authority. Challenge, "Who are you with?" Redirect, "I'm with Apex. Is Greg the facility manager on duty today? He was supposed to meet me at the riser." The result, by using a name, Greg, and a specific location, the riser, you have signaled that you are an insider. The guard's brain switches from security mode to helpful mode. 3.4 3 The graceful exit. If the challenge is too strong and you are about to be caught, you must exit without being detained. The script, "You know what, you're right. This is a mess. I'm going to go call my supervisor from the truck and have him sort this out with the office. I'm not getting paid to stand around waiting for badge access." The move, walk away purposefully. Do not run. If you walk toward the exit like you are quitting in a huff, they will rarely stop you. They are just happy the problem is leaving. Phase III summary checklist. Costume and props are weathered and environment appropriate. Names of 2-3 internal managers, contacts memorized. A heavy box or phone shield, props prepared. A 3-step verbal judo, scripts rehearsed for the specific target. Understanding of the lobby tempo to time the tailgating. Practical exercise, the invisible service challenge. Practice the authority and service personas in a low-stakes, public environment, like a large shopping mall or a public transit hub. 1. The goal, test the politeness reflex, without breaking any laws or security rules. 2. The setup, dress in a neutral service outfit, clean work khakis and a tucked-in polo. Carry a large, slightly awkward but light box. 3. The task, approach a heavy set of public doors where people are walking through. Time your approach so you arrive 2-3 seconds after someone else. Use your body language to show you are struggling but determined. 4. The observation, note how many people will stop their own progress to hold the door for you. Practice your closing, the breathless, polite, "Thank you so much, I appreciate it." 5. The refinement, try the same exercise while on a hands-free, phone shield call. See if people are more or less likely to assist you when you appear busy and important. This builds the muscle memory of social manipulation in a safe, legal setting. Phase IV, physical breaching and bypasses. Preamble, the mechanical vulnerability. In clandestine operations, the goal of a breach is to gain entry without leaving a forensic trail. Destructive entry, breaking glass, kicking doors, is a failure of tradecraft, as it immediately alerts the target to a compromise. Phase IV focuses on non-destructive entry, NDE, and architectural exploitation, techniques that leverage the inherent design flaws in hardware and building construction to bypass locks and partitions silently. 4.1 Non-destructive entry, NDE, the art of the silent slip. Non-destructive entry is the ability to bypass a locking mechanism without damaging the lock or the door. This ensures that the operative can exit and relock the door, leaving the target unaware that their security was ever compromised. 4.1 Shimming and latch slipping. Most commercial doors use a spring-loaded latch. Unless the dead latch, the small pin next to the main latch, is properly engaged, the door is vulnerable to a shim. The tool, a shovel tool or a thin piece of flexible plastic, cut from a soda bottle or a heavy-duty folder. The technique, slide the shim between the door and the frame at the latch point. By applying pressure and jiggling the door, the shim forces the spring latch back into the door housing, allowing it to swing open. Tradecraft example, if you are posing as a janitor, you can hide a plastic shim inside a cleaning rag. As you wipe down the door frame, you are actually slipping the latch. 4.1.2 The J-tool, double door bypass. Double doors, common in lobbies and office suites, often have a gap between them that is covered by a piece of metal called an astragal. If the astragal is missing or poorly fitted, the interior panic bar is vulnerable. The tool, a J-tool, is a heavy-duty wire shaped like a long J. The technique, insert the tool through the gap between the double doors. Rotate the tool so the hook catches the panic bar, push bar on the interior. Pulling the tool toward you simulates someone pushing the bar from the inside, unlocking the doors. Tradecraft example, this is best performed during a noise floor spike. Wait for a loud truck to pass or an HVAC system to kick in to mask the metallic clack of the panic bar releasing. 4.2 Under the door tools, UTDT, lever manipulation. Modern fire codes require lever-style handles on the interior of office doors for easy egress. These handles are a significant security vulnerability because they can be manipulated from the hallway. 4.2.1 The UTDT mechanism. The tool, a long, flexible wire with a string-operated loop or a rigid hook at the end. The technique, slide the wire under the door, the gap is usually 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Once the hook is on the other side, the operative uses the string to pull the hook upward, catching the interior lever handle. Pulling down on the wire then rotates the handle, opening the door. Tradecraft example, an operative posing as a floor inspector can drop a clipboard near the door. As they kneel to pick up the dropped items, they slide the UTDT under the door. To a passerby, it looks like someone struggling with their dropped paperwork. 4.3 Request to exit REX exploitation, tricking the sensors. Many high-security doors use a request to exit REX sensor. These are passive infrared peer or motion sensors mounted on the inside of the door. When they detect motion, someone leaving, they automatically cut power to the magnetic lock, maglock. 431 The canned air attack. Peer sensors look for a change in temperature and motion. The technique: spray a can of compressed air inverted through the gap between the door and the frame or through the keyhole. The sudden cloud of freezing mist creates a dramatic thermal shift that the REC sensor interprets as a person moving toward the door. The result: the maglock clicks open, often with an audible clunk, allowing the operative to pull the door open from the outside. 432 The canned heat and balloon attacks. Canned heat: in colder climates, a hand warmer or a small heater pushed near the door gap can trigger the sensor. The balloon: sliding a partially inflated balloon under the door and letting it go can create enough erratic motion to trigger a motion-based REC sensor. 4.4 Architectural exploitation. Beyond the door. If the door is too secure to bypass, the operative looks at the envelope of the room. Commercial construction often prioritizes aesthetics and fire safety over security, leading to significant structural gaps. 441 The dropped ceiling bypass. Most modern offices use a T-bar grid ceiling with removable tiles. In many cases, the internal walls partitions do not extend all the way to the structural deck, the actual ceiling. They stop just above the dropped ceiling. The technique: lift a ceiling tile in the hallway, climb into the plenum space, the area above the tiles, crawl over the top of the wall and drop down into the secure room through a ceiling tile on the other side. Tradecraft example: this is a high-noise activity. It is best performed when posing as a cable contractor or HVAC tech, phase III, as carrying a ladder and looking into ceilings is part of their baseline behavior. 442 HVAC vent and duct infiltration. Large HVAC ducts often connect secure rooms, like server rooms, to the main building system. The technique: removing a vent cover often reveals a shaft large enough for an operative to bypass a locked door. The risk: modern ducts often have fire dampers, louvers that close in case of fire. An operative must ensure they aren't trapped if a damper is manually or automatically triggered. 443 The pass-through vulnerability. Look for shared infrastructure. Electrical conduits: large bundles of cables often pass through sleeves in walls. If the fire-stopping material, the red foam or putty, is missing or loose, the sleeve can be used to pass a borescope or a small network implant, phase VI, into a secure room. Shared glass: if a secure room has a glass sidelight, the window next to a door, checking the glazing beads, the rubber plastic strips holding the glass is essential. In many cases, these can be popped out with a screwdriver, allowing the entire pane of glass to be removed silently. Phase IV summary checklist. Latch type identified, spring versus deadbolt. Gap analysis performed, underdoor, doubledoor, ceiling. REC sensor presence confirmed via thermal or visual recon. A canned air or J-tool staged in an easy access pocket. Structural plenum space checked for wall height. Practical exercise: the gap analysis walk. Walk through a public office building or a library. Count how many doors have a gap large enough for a J-tool or a UTDT. Look at the ceilings. Can you see where the walls end? This exercise trains the eye to see the path of least resistance in the architecture itself. Phase V electronic and access control attacks. Preamble: the digital skeleton key. As facilities move away from mechanical keys toward electronic access control systems, PACS, the operative's toolkit must evolve to include signals intelligence and hardware exploitation. Electronic locks are governed by protocols that often prioritize convenience and legacy compatibility over cryptographic security. Phase V details the methods for identifying, intercepting, and replicating the digital credentials required to bypass readers, keypads, and biometric scanners. 5.1 RFID/proc skimming, cloning the invisible credential. Radio frequency identification, RFID, and proximity cards are the most common form of corporate credential. Most legacy systems, 125kHz, transmit their data in the clear, making them trivial to clone from a distance. 511 legacy proximity cards, 125kHz. These cards, e.g. HID procs in DALA, have no encryption. They simply broadcast their facility code and ID number whenever they are energized by a reader's field. The tool, Proxmark 3 for close-range analysis or a long-range reader, TVC, hidden in a laptop bag or briefcase. The technique, position yourself within 6 to 24 inches of a target's badge. This is most effectively done in choke points, such as elevators, coffee shop lines, or public transit. The reader energizes the badge, captures the data, and stores it for later replication. Tradecraft example, the elevator bump. Stand behind the target in a crowded elevator. Your long-range reader, hidden in a messenger bag, captures the badge data through their pocket or purse. By the time the doors open, you have a digital copy of their key. 112 high-frequency smart cards, 1356 MHz. Modern smart cards, e.g. MIFARE-Fire, HID ICLASS use encryption. Bypassing these requires more sophisticated attacks. The technique, using a Chameleon Ultra or Proxmark 3 to perform a nested or hard-nested attack. If the reader is misconfigured or using default keys, the operative can derive the encryption keys by sniffing the communication between a legitimate card and the reader. The simulation, once the data is captured, it can be replayed using a blank card or a specialized emulator device, allowing the operative to present the cloned credential to the building's readers. 5.2 Weekend Protocol Sniffing, the inside-the-wall bypass. The Weekend Protocol is the industry standard for communication between a badge reader and the door controller. It is an unencrypted, 40-year-old protocol that is highly vulnerable to hardware shims. 5.2.1 Installing hardware shims. The wires behind a badge reader are rarely monitored for tampering. If an operative can gain 30 seconds of access to the back of a reader, they can install a sniffer. The tool, ESP key or BLE key. These are tiny boards that sit between the reader and the controller wires. The technique, pop the reader off the wall, often secured by a single security screw. Use vampire clips to tap into the data 0 and data 1 wires. Tuck the device into the wall cavity and replace the reader. The result, the device captures every badge ID that swipes at that door and transmits it via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to the operative's phone. The operative can then replay a captured ID to unlock the door remotely. Tradecraft example, posing as a maintenance tech. Phase III, the operative inspects a faulty reader. In reality, they are installing an ESP key. This provides persistent, remote access to a high-security door without needing to clone a physical badge. 5.3 Biometric bypasses, defeating the unclonable. Biometric scanners, fingerprint, iris, facial recognition, are often seen as the pinnacle of security, but they rely on sensors that can be tricked or fail states that can be exploited. 5.3.1 Identifying fail-open states. Biometric systems are prone to high, false rejection rates, FRR, which frustrates employees. To compensate, many administrators set the system to fail open or lower the sensitivity threshold. The technique, repeatedly failing a scan, using a gloved hand or an incorrect eye angle, can sometimes trigger a timeout that unlocks the door or prompts a secondary, weaker authentication method, like a default PIN. 5.3.2 Fingerprint reconstitution. Latent print lifting, using forensic powder or a simple piece of high-contrast tape to lift a latent print from the scanner's glass surface. The 2.5D print, using a high-resolution photo of a latent print to create a conductive silicone mold. This mold can be worn over the operative's own finger to bypass optical and capacitive scanners. Tradecraft example, sprinkling a very fine graphite dust on a scanner before an employee uses it, then lifting the perfectly preserved print after they enter. 5.3.3 Facial recognition and iris bypasses. The high-res photograph attack. Older or lower-end facial recognition systems can be fooled by a high-resolution tablet display showing a photo of an authorized user. Infrared IR flooding. Flooding a facial scanner with IR light can sometimes blind the sensor, causing it to default to a manual override or a secondary PIN entry. 5.4 Keypad exploits, cracking the code. Keypads are often used as a secondary layer of security, MFA, or as the primary access for utility and mechanical rooms. 5.4.1 Mechanical wear analysis. The shiny button effect. On older keypads, the most frequently used digits will show visible wear, oil buildup, or polishing. The technique: if 4 buttons are worn out, there are only 24 possible combinations. A skilled operative can brute force these 24 combinations in less than 2 minutes. 542 Thermal imaging, the heat map attack. This is one of the most effective ways to capture a pin without touching the keypad. The tool: a mobile thermal camera, FLIR. The technique: immediately after an employee enters their code and walks away, the operative views the keypad through the thermal camera. The buttons pressed will glow hot. The analysis: the hottest button was the last one pressed, while the coolest was the first. This reveals not just the digits but the exact sequence of the code. Tradecraft example: stand 10 feet away as a distracted person on a phone. Once the employee clears the door, snap a thermal image of the keypad. You now have the code with 0 physical contact. 543 UV spy dust. The technique: coating the keypad in a clear UV-reactive gel. After an employee enters their code, the operative returns with a UV flashlight to see exactly which buttons were touched. Phase V summary checklist. Reader frequency identified 125 kHz versus 13.56 MHz. Badge brand and model documented via OSINT or visual recon. Thermal camera calibrated for local ambient temperature. ESP key/BLE key firmware updated and tested on a lab reader. Latent print kit tape powder staged for biometric targets. Practical exercise: the badge recon walk. Visit a busy downtown area during the lunch hour. Observe the badges worn by employees. Try to identify the manufacturer, HID, Gallagher, Solto, from a distance of 3 feet. Practice the elevator bump without a reader to see how close you can get to a stranger's pocket without being noticed. This trains the spatial awareness required for successful electronic skimming. Phase VI, internal operations and persistence. Preamble: the heart of the mission. Once the perimeter is breached and the operative is inside the wire, the mission shifts from entry to execution. Phase VI covers the tradecraft required to navigate a secure interior, identify the most valuable technical assets, and install the means for persistent remote access. In this stage, the operative must balance the need for speed with the requirement for absolute stealth, ensuring that any presence left behind, physical or digital, remains invisible to even the most rigorous security audits. 6.1 Silent movement, navigating the interior. Modern offices are designed to be reactive. Navigating them requires an understanding of how to move without triggering automated environmental responses. 6.1 Defeating motion-sensitive lighting. Most commercial buildings use PIR, passive infrared sensors, to control lighting. Walking into a dark hallway and having the light snap on is a major compromise risk. The hug-the-wall technique. Most PIR sensors are mounted in the center of the ceiling or high on a wall to maximize their field of view. By staying close to the wall directly beneath or beside a sensor, you can often stay within its dead zone. The slow-motion crawl. PIR sensors look for rapid changes in infrared energy. By moving extremely slowly, less than 1 inch per second, and wearing an insulated layer, like a thick wool or mylar-lined jacket, you can sometimes move past a sensor without triggering it. Environmental shielding. Use office furniture, cubicle walls, large plants. Filing cabinets as visual shields between your heat signature and the sensor. 6.1.2 Acoustic management. The step-slide gate. To avoid the clack of hard-soled shoes on tile or the creak of floorboards, use a toe-to-heel walking pattern. Place the ball of your foot down first to feel for debris or uneven surfaces, then slowly roll your weight onto the heel. Managing acoustic sensors. High-security areas, vaults, server rooms may have acoustic glass break or impact sensors. Avoid dropping tools or clicking pens. Use rubber-tipped tools and padded gear bags to minimize metallic noise. Masking sounds. Time your movements to coincide with building noise. The hum of an elevator motor, the cycling of the HVAC system, or the distant sound of a cleaning crew's vacuum. 6.2 The MDF-IDF raid. Identifying the nerve center. The goal of most physical infiltrations is the main distribution frame, MDF, or intermediate distribution frame, IDF. the server closets. 621 Locating the closet. Visual cues, look for doors with louvers for airflow or extra thick frames. Thermal cues, server rooms generate significant heat. A hallway that feels 5 degrees warmer than the rest of the floor often leads to a server closet. Acoustic cues, listen for the high-pitched whine of high RPM server fans. 622 The backdoor installation. Once inside the MDF, the operative seeks a persistent network foothold. The patch panel tap. Instead of plugging directly into a server, which may trigger an alert, find an unused port on the patch panel that leads to a quiet area of the building, like a break room or a vacant office. The shadow switch. Installing a small, unmanaged 5-port switch behind a legitimate piece of hardware. This allows the operative to branch off the network connection without interrupting the original device's traffic. 6.3 Hardware implant deployment, hiding in plain sight. A drop box or hardware implant provides the operative with a permanent bridge into the target network from the safety of a remote location. 631 The LAN turtle and USB keyloggers. The pigtail hide, a LAN turtle, a specialized network tool, is shaped exactly like a USB to Ethernet adapter. Plug it into the back of a VoIP phone or a printer. To an IT tech, it looks like a standard peripheral. Workstation implants. Use a wireless keylogger, like an air drive, between the keyboard and the PC. Tradecraft example, the cables and dust method. Don't hide the device in a clean spot. Tuck it behind a tangled rat's nest of cables under a desk. Humans are biologically repelled by messes and will rarely look closely at a dusty cluster of wires. 632 The Raspberry Pi Dropbox. Concealment. Mount a Raspberry Pi running Kali or a custom C2 agent inside a hollowed-out uninterruptible power supply, UPS, or a standard office power strip. Powering the device. Always use the building's own power. If your device relies on a battery, your persistence is limited. Tap into the internal 5V or 12V rails of an existing device for infinite power. 6.4 Document exfiltration, rapid data theft. Sometimes the goal is not a digital backdoor, but physical or soft data, blueprints, trade secrets, employee records. 641 Handheld wanding and scanning. The wand scanner. Portable scanners allow an operative to digitize a page in 2 seconds. Tradecraft example. Posing as a janitor, phase III, the operative empties a manager's trash. If they see a sensitive document that wasn't shredded, they scan it using a microscanner hidden in their palm before placing the paper into the shred bin to cover their tracks. 642 Microphotography. The statue pose, using a high-resolution smartphone or a microcamera, like a modified glasses cam, to take burst photos of a desktop or a whiteboard. Exploiting the whiteboard. In corporate environments, whiteboards often contain the most valuable unlocked data, network diagrams, project timelines, and passwords. Never leave a secure room without photographing every whiteboard. 643 The dead drop exfiltration. If the operative is worried about being searched upon exit, they do not carry the stolen data, USBs, micro SDs, out with them. The staging area. Hide the stolen media in a pre-planned location, like the underside of a lobby trash can or inside a bathroom hand dryer, to be recovered later by a different operative or during a lower-risk window. Phase VI Summary Checklist. Motion sensors mapped and dead zones identified. Toe-to-heel gate practiced on hard surfaces. Network implant LAN Turtle Pi tested and sanitized. Micro-camera scanner batteries checked and storage cleared. Exit path confirmed for a clean extraction. Practical exercise, the ghost office. Enter a darkened room in your own home or office. Try to reach the other side without turning on the lights or making a sound that someone in the next room could hear. Use a flashlight to represent a guard's beam. If the beam hits you, you are burned. This exercise builds the core discipline of silent, light-conscious movement. Phase VII, evasion, extraction, and the burn. Preamble, the never been there mandate. An operation is only successful if the target remains unaware that it occurred. The final phase of clandestine infiltration is the most dangerous, as it involves transitioning from a secure interior back to the public sphere. Whether the exit is a silent ghost extraction or a hot emergency evasion, the operative must adhere to the burn protocols, ensuring that no forensic, digital, or physical evidence can be traced back to the individual or their sponsors. 7.1 The clean exit, the never been there protocol. The clean exit is a methodical reversal of the entry process. It requires discipline to avoid the finish line rush, the psychological urge to move faster once the primary objective is complete. 7.1.1 Physical site restoration. Hardware normalization. Every door opened must be relocked. Every chair moved must be returned to its original position. Use a reference photo, taken upon entry, to ensure the environment is identical to its pre-infiltration state. Forensic sanitization. Wipe down high-touch surfaces, door handles, keypad buttons, server rack latches, with a microfiber cloth to remove latent fingerprints or DNA. The trash check. Ensure no consumables, zip-tie tails, tape remnants or water bottles are left behind. If you used canned air, phase IV, ensure the frost has fully evaporated before exiting. 7.1.2 Resetting the electronic perimeter. Alarm rearming. If an alarm was bypassed or a sensor was masked, these must be restored to an active state. Log obfuscation. If the operative has access to the security workstation, they must not delete video footage, which creates a suspicious gap. Instead, they should freeze the loop or ensure that their exit path is through a known dead zone, phase II. 7.2 Emergency evasion, the hot exit. When stealth fails, due to a silent alarm, a random guard patrol, or a technical glitch, the operative must transition instantly from grey man to evasive target. 7.2.1 Primary, secondary and tertiary egress. The hot route. This is an egress path that prioritizes speed over stealth. It often involves fire exits, which will trigger alarms or jumping from low-level windows. Breaking contact. Use environmental choke points. Close and lock doors behind you as you run. If in a stairwell, move up 2 floors before exiting to a different wing to confuse pursuers regarding your direction of travel. The second-story trick. If pursued, enter a public area, like a 24-hour gym or a late-night diner, and change a visible layer of clothing, e.g., removing a jacket to reveal a different colored shirt. This breaks the visual profile that the pursuer is looking for. 7.2.2 The decoy protocol. If the mission involves an accomplice, the decoy creates a distraction on the opposite side of the building, e.g., a small fire in a trash can or a loud argument at the front gate, to draw security resources away from the operative's extraction point. 7.3 Evidence sanitization, the burn. The burn is the total destruction of the operative's digital and physical trail. 7.3.1 Digital flashbang. Remote wipe. Burner phones and laptops must be configured with a panic password that triggers an immediate cryptographic wipe of the storage. Cloud purge. All mission-critical data exfiltrated, phase VI, should be uploaded to an encrypted, dead-drop server and deleted from the local device before the operative reaches the building's exterior. SIM ditching. Once the operative is 5 miles away from the target, the burner SIM card should be physically destroyed and disposed of in a high-volume transit hub, like a train station trash can. 7.3.2 Tool disposal. The clean bag. Never return to your safe house with infiltration tools. Stash picks, shims and electronics in pre-planned dead drops, or dispose of them in deep water or industrial dumpsters. Clothing sanitization. Shoes used during the breach should be cleaned of any unique soil or debris from the target site. In high-stakes missions, the clothing is incinerated. 7.4 Interrogation resistance. Maintaining the legend. If detained by security or law enforcement, the operative's only defense is the strength of their legend, phase I. 7.4.1 The admit small, deny large strategy. The admission. Yes, I was in the building. I'm a freelance IT contractor and I was looking for the server room because my dispatch gave me the wrong suite number. The denial. I have no idea what you're talking about regarding a data breach. I've been lost in that stairwell for 20 minutes. Look at my phone, I was trying to call my boss for directions. The goal. By admitting to a minor non-criminal mistake, being lost, you provide the challenger with a path of least resistance to let you go without calling the police. 742 Survival Under Pressure. Stay in character. If your legend is Dave the HVAC tech, stay in character even if the police are involved. Use the technical jargon and the frustrated worker attitude. The broken record technique. Repeat your core legend statement without variation. If they ask the same question 10 times, give the same boring answer 10 times. Consistency is the hallmark of truth. Invoking rights. If the situation escalates to a formal arrest, the legend is dropped in favor of absolute silence. I will not answer any questions without my attorney. Phase VII Summary Checklist. A site restored to pre-entry state, photos verified. High-touch surfaces wiped for prints. Hot exit routes cleared of obstructions. Remote wipe protocols tested and active. Interrogation legend rehearsed under stress. Practical exercise, the panic scrub. Set a timer for 120 seconds. Assume your safe house has been compromised. In those 2 minutes you must wipe your digital devices, pack your go bag, and leave the premises. This exercise trains the speed and focus required to burn your life and disappear when the mission goes red. Operator's appendices. Appendix A, the 12-hour go bag. A go bag is an essential component of the operative's kit. It must be modular, allowing for a rapid transition between a grey man, EDC profile, and a full infiltration profile. A1 Minimalist Everyday Carry, EDC. The EDC kit is designed to be carried on the person at all times without creating a suspicious silhouette. Communication. Burn a smartphone with encrypted messaging and secondary SIM. Navigation. Paper map of the local area with extraction points marked in non-permanent ink. Entry. A single Bogota rake set concealed and a plastic SIM card. Sanitization. Microfiber cloth and high alcohol wipes for fingerprint removal. A2 Full Infiltration Kit, the heavy bag. This kit is carried in a generic non-tactical backpack, e.g., a used student bag. Technical, Proxmark 3 ESP key land turtle and a Raspberry Pi drop box with external battery. Hardware J-tool under-the-door tool collapsible and a small set of bypass shims. Visual FLIR thermal camera attachment for smartphone and high-zoom micro-monocular. Documentation high-res microcamera and a handheld wand scanner. Appendix B Table of default passcodes. Many security systems are installed with factory default codes that are never changed by the end user. These codes provide a universal key to the building's alarm and access control panels. Manufacturer default master installer code purpose. Honeywell Vista 4112/1234 installer/master access to alarm panels. HID Vertex admin/password web interface for network attached door controllers. Bosch 1234/9876 common defaults for keypad-based partition control. DSC Power Series 5555/1234 default installer and master codes. Axis Network Cam root/pass or admin initial credentials for IP security cameras. Note, if these fail, try the year of the building's construction or the last 4 digits of the corporate mainline phone number. Appendix C Improvised tool reference. In high-risk environments where carrying dedicated entry tools is impossible, an operative must be able to manufacture entry hardware from common office and maintenance supplies. C1 The soda bottle shim. Material a 2-liter plastic bottle, PET plastic. Construction cut a rectangular strip approximately 4x7 inches, round the corners to prevent snagging. Application slide between the door and frame to slip a spring-loaded latch. The plastic is flexible enough to navigate tight corners but rigid enough to depress the latch. C2 The paperclip rake. Material 2 heavy-duty steel paperclips. Construction straighten one clip and bend a small 90-degree hook at the end for the tension wrench. Bend the second clip into a multi-peak wave shape, the rake. Application use for low-security wafer locks, desks, cabinets, or simple pin tumbler padlocks. C3 The elastic band door prop. Material, a thick rubber band and a small pebble or folded paper. Construction, loop the rubber band around the interior door handle. Place the pebble over the latch bolt and secure it with the band so the latch remains retracted. Application, used during smokers' huddle entries, phase III, to ensure a door remains unlocked for a timed return without looking propped. C4 The file folder, under the door tool. Material, a plastic hanging file folder and a roll of heavy-duty tape. Construction, remove the metal hangers. Roll the plastic into a long, tight tube. Tape a hook made from a coat hanger or a bent piece of the folder's metal edge to the end. Application, if a professional UTDT is unavailable, this improvised version can be used to pull lever handles through the gap at the bottom of the door. C5 The battery and foil thermal deke. Material, a 9V battery and a strip of aluminum foil from a gum wrapper. Construction, briefly touch the foil across the battery terminals. It will generate a significant heat signature. Application, toss near a peer rec sensor, phase IV to create a thermal distraction while you move through a dead zone.